Hi, I'm Hannah Geddes from Tangled Web Creations. Thank you for joining me for today's video. Today I'm going to show you the 12-piece Zentangle set from GreatArt. Now, Zentangle is a mindful meditative art form that's very easy to learn, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher, and I teach all across the southeast of the UK as well as across Europe. And what I'm going to do today is to show you what's in this 12-piece tool set. I'm going to explain what Zentangle is, and I'm going to show you how to get started. When I first discovered Zentangle around 10 or so years ago, this was the first kit that I bought. And you'll see that it comes in a really nice clear plastic sleeve, which is easy to open, which makes it quite portable. And I'm going to take everything out so that you can see all of the contents. There's a variety of pens and pencil and a blending stump, which I'll go through with you in just a minute. And inside the sleeve, you'll find that there are 5 square pieces of card. Now, these are all called tiles, and you can see that they're official ones because they've got the stamp on the back. And I'll show you how we use these tiles in a little while. Now, each of these sleeves has a card insert that holds everything together, and you'll notice that there's a drawn pattern on the inside of this one. Each sleeve has different patterns in, and the patterns are called tangles, and this one is called an aura knot tangle, and you'll see clearly how to draw it on a step-by-step. Now, the pens that come with it are the Sakura Microns. This particular set, being the larger one, they're all black and they have a variety of nib sizes. So the first nib size is an 01, and let me just bring this a little bit closer so you can actually see how fine that nib size is. These are quite delicate, so you have to be a little bit gentle when using them. The second nib size, again, it's also black, but this one is an 03, so it is slightly larger. And the third nib size, again black, this is an 05, so that's quite a lot larger. The next one is an 08, and this one is very good for colouring block squares or block colours because it is a much larger nib. And then finally we've got the Sakura Micron Pigmographic 1, and this nib, you'll see, is very different from the others, and it's a lot thicker. We also have an official Zentangle Pencil, and this one measures about 13 centimetres long. And then the final part to the kit is a Sakura tortillon or blending stump or tool. And you can imagine, for those of you that already use blending tools, this is quite a large one, so it will last you for quite a while. So I'm going to show you how we get started using these materials in the 12-piece kit. And I'm going to start off with one of the tiles. Now, this is the official reverse part of the tile, so the blank part is the bit that we draw on, and I'm going to use my Zentangle pencil, and very lightly I'm going to draw 4 dots, 1 in each corner, and you'll notice that I'm not putting too much pressure on it. These are just the corner dots as a guideline, and then joining down one side I'm going to draw a line. I'm then going to repeat that down the next side, and I'm going to continue to turn my tile around until I've got a square or a square-ish box. I'm not too concerned about whether it's 100% accurate. There are no mistakes in Zentangle, which is one of the reasons why it makes it so suitable for everybody. Now the next stage is to draw what's called a string, and there are a variety of different strings that you can draw, and I included some photos at the beginning of the video just to give you a rough idea of how many different types of strings there are. So what I'm going to do on this occasion is, using my pencil, I've just drawn a V, and I've gone from the top left hand corner to the bottom and then back up to the right. I'm then switching from my pencil and I'm going to go to my 01 micron pen. I'm going to draw this slowly so that you can follow along if you want to, and I'm just going to draw a hump. Now there's 3 different areas to choose where you want to start, but for this video I'm just going to start in that center V, but it's entirely up to you where you would like to start. I'm then going to move down that same line just a little bit further, and I'm going to draw another hump, and you'll notice that I've left a gap in between. I'm going to try and keep that gap and the humps about the same size, but again, don't panic too much. I'm then turning my tile round, and I'm going to repeat by drawing more humps along this side. And then when I get to the top, I'm going to turn my tile again, and I'm just going to fill in some humps along the final section. So I'll turn it back round that way so you can see. And if you feel I'm going a little bit too quickly, please feel free to pause the video until you've caught up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start back at the very first hump that I drew, and around the outside I'm just going to draw another line, and you'll notice that I've followed the exact same contour, but I've left a little gap in the middle, and this is called an aura, and I'm going to repeat by drawing a little aura around each of those humps. Now you'll notice that I've still got this gap in between here. Those of you that drew larger humps, or the gap was smaller in between, you might find that you can fit in a second aura, but again, everybody will draw theirs differently, so it doesn't matter if you've got 1 aura, 2 auras or 3, whichever you can fit in. I'm then turning my tile, and I'm going to draw another aura up this side. And because I've done 2 auras on these ones, I'm going to repeat that, and I'm going to draw another aura around those so that they're all the same. And then the final row, I'm just drawing and repeating and adding auras. Now with this one here, you can see that I've got, when I draw that first part, I hit a line that I've already drawn. That's not a problem, but instead of following it through and drawing over the top, I've taken the pen off of the page and I've started again the other side. And then I'm just going to repeat this going down. So there we have the first 2 steps in this particular tangle, which is called Crescent Moon, but I will put the description below for you. Now we have some options here. We have an 05 and we have an 08 nib, both of which are much thicker than the 01. So it's entirely up to you which pen you choose to use. I'm going to use the 05 for this side, and I'll use the 08 for the other side. So for the original hump that we drew, I'm just using the 05 to colour it in. Now you could use the 01, but it would probably take much longer to fill each of these humps in. And you'll notice that when I'm colouring in this block colour, I'm staying within that first hump that I drew, so the auras are still completely separate. And the 05 is a lovely size nib when you want to colour. Now for this side, I'm going to turn it round and I'm going to use the 08 so that you can see again when colouring in the difference in the two. I mean, the end result will look the same. It's just that different nibs can be used for different sections. And again, it's a lovely jet black colour. These official Zentangle tiles are 100% cotton, and they're made from a Fabriano, which is an Italian brand paper. They're handmade, and you notice that they've all got corners rounded, and they've got a deckled edge, so they're hand cut as well. And the founders of the Zentangle method always believe that you should use the most affordable materials of the best quality that you can find. So for the final three, I'm going to go back to the 03 nib so you can see the difference when colouring. And while I'm colouring this in, I'm just going to explain a little bit more about these pens. So they're Pigma Micron, and they're made by Sakura. And the beauty with these pens is that they are fade and light proof. So that means that the dark black that you see now will be the same dark black you'll see in years to come. They won't fade. They're also waterproof, and you'll notice that they're not bleeding into the paper, and that's a great thing with black archival ink. So I'm going to go back to the 01 nib now, and we're going to move on to the next stage in this particular tangle. And I'm going to start at that point there, but you please feel free to start where you want. I'm going to draw another aura, but this aura isn't going to join either side. I'm going to sort of stop, it almost looks like it's hanging off in the middle, and then I'm going to repeat that over the next one. Again, I'm stopping before I reach the end, and I'm going to repeat that now to this one. And then when it gets to here, I'm just going to stop there. I'm going to turn my tile. Again, one of the lovely things of having these tiles the size that they are means that you can turn them so that you're comfortable. I'm going to continue going round, drawing humps or auras. And then when I get to this corner, I'm going to turn again and just do a little one here, and then turn and continue round. Now here I'm going to join the first one that we drew, so I'm just going to stop there. And then I'm going to repeat the exact same thing, but this time I'm going to start at that dot there. And you'll notice that when I do this aura here, it's about a similar distance gap between the one I drew before. And the beauty of the Zentangle method is that you really can let your mind wander. Once you've attended a class with a CZT, which is a certified Zentangle teacher, they'll teach you how to do the individual tangle patterns. And once you know those, you can just switch off and let your mind concentrate on what you're drawing. You can really slow down and focus on enjoying. Maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And when I'm teaching, I normally suggest that as you're drawing, you focus on your breathing, which will also enhance relaxing. And you'll notice that I'm just continuing, I'm just repeating round, but each time I'm going in that little bit further. You could probably fit another one in there, but I personally like the way it looks. I'm now going to switch to use my official Zentangle pencil, and again this has been included in this kit because it works perfectly with the tiles and the pens. And I'm just putting a little bit of the pencil in between the original first humps, and you'll notice that when I'm holding the pencil, I'm not holding it over, I'm holding it to the side, and then that way I can control the amount of pencil that goes onto the page. I'm then going to switch to use my tortillon or blending stump or tool, and using the tip of one of the ends, I'm just gently smudging that pencil line out. And again, you can smudge in a couple of different ways. You can either smudge in sort of little circles, or you can smudge backwards to forwards. Find a way that you feel comfortable. And again, I'm just going in between the first drawn humps. And then I'm going to switch back to my pencil, and where these humps we've drawn, you can see that they match, the points match. I'm just putting some pencil down, and again you can see I'm not being overly fussy, but just the general area. And then switching back to my tortillon, I'm just blending that out, and this will give it a sense of depth and dimension. Now, some people are a little bit concerned when learning shading for the first time. Please don't be. It's very easy, and I actually find that I think it's one of the most enjoyable parts, because for me, I believe it's what makes the piece pop. And you'll notice that even though I haven't spent as long as I normally would doing the shading, you can see now how when you look at it, you're almost drawn into it. So I can leave that part there, or I can go back, and because I like the space, the size there in the centre, I've switched to my 05 nib, and I'm just going to colour it in. But this is optional, this is entirely up to you. You might like the way that your one looks without that, in which case that's fine, but there you go. So that's the way that that's drawn. I'm going to move on to one of the other sides now, and I'm going to stick with the 01 nib. And I'm just going to choose this one on the right, no particular reason. I'm going to draw two straight lines, and you'll notice that I've drawn them without a ruler. There are no rulers or erasers in Zentangle, so please don't worry about them being 100% accurate. I'm then turning my tile, and I'm going to draw another two lines. But this time, when I reach that first line, I'm going to stop, and using my eye, I'm going to see where it would go on the other side of the first drawn line. I'm then going to turn my tile again, and I'm going to draw another 2 lines, and again I'm going to stop when I reach a previously drawn line, and I'm going to continue to draw in this area, turning my tile each time until I feel that I've drawn enough sets of 2 lines. And this particular tangle is very, very simple. It's always 2 lines, and as long as you stop when you reach your previous drawn line, then that's fine. Now I can continue drawing and add as many lines as I want, but I quite like the way that that one looks. I'm going to show you how to add some shading. Now there's a couple of ways to add shading on this one, so I'll show you both, and I'm just putting some pencil on the lines that are lower down where they meet one of the other previously drawn lines, and then switching to my blending tool, just gently teasing out that pencil line there. And this will do the same as we did with the first one, but we'll give it some depth and some dimension. And you notice that when I'm shading, I'm keeping those shaded pencil marks inside the 2 sort of tram lines. That's the first way that you can shade it. If you wanted to, and you didn't want to shade it this way, you could have shaded on the outside of either of the lines. But I find, for me personally, I find this is the way that I prefer to draw it. But it's your tile, it's your art. Experiment and draw how you feel. Now, I can leave these blank, or I could actually decorate on the inside of them. But for this particular video, I think I'm going to move on to the third part. And I'm going to pick, please excuse me, another tangle to fill this section in. And again, this is a particularly easy tangle. And I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4 lines going in that direction. I'm then going to turn my tile, and I'm going to draw 4 going in the opposite direction. So 4 vertical, 4 horizontal. Switch back, and then do another 4 vertical, and then switch again and do another 4 horizontal. So each set of 4 that you draw, they're always going to be in the opposite direction. And you'll notice that I've tried to keep the gaps in between the lines about the same distance apart, and I've also tried to keep the length of the lines about the same as well. So this is the first row. I'm going to move on to the second row, and for the second row I'm going to draw 4 lines. So if this one's going horizontal, this one is going to go vertical. And then on the horizontal one again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we've got 1 more horizontal one on this row. And then I'm going to turn it round, and I'm going to fill in 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the final 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's row 2 done. I'm then going to move on to row 3, and yep, you've guessed it, I'm going to do another 4 lines. They're all going to be vertical, touching or next to the horizontal. 3, 4. And I don't normally encourage speeding up, because I feel that people should get a 20-30 minute period of time during the day where they can just do something for themselves. And Zentangle is a particularly good way if you're feeling stressed or if you're even struggling with sleeping, just to sit down and draw a tile, let your mind switch off and not worry about anything else that's going on. Just enjoy being able to draw. And I'm just going to continue going through to fill up this last area on this particular tile. And I've included, along with the description, I've also included the GreatArt product code for this particular 12-piece set. And in the coming weeks I'm going to be doing a couple more videos which will go through the other official Zentangle products, so you can see which ones go well with which products. I've also included the website details for the people, Maria and Rick in America. They founded the Zentangle method, so you can go online and have a look and see who they are, the idea behind Zentangle, how it came about, and lots of other information. And I would highly recommend finding a CZT or a certified Zentangle teacher in your area so that you can attend a class with them, because you will get all of the information you need from attending an official class. So that section's finished now. I'm just going to move back to my pencil, and on the horizontal lines where they meet the vertical, I'm just drawing some pencil lines, and you'll notice that I'm not taking the pencil lines out too far. I'm just putting enough on, and because there aren't any erasers in the Zentangle world, it's easier if you put a little amount on, and if you're not happy then you can always add more, as opposed to putting too much on and not being able to remove it for whatever reason. I'm then switching to my blending tool, and then I'm just gently blending that pencil line out. And you'll see that this, not only is this a beautiful tangle pattern, but this particular way of shading will give it a real sense of depth and dimension. And again, I am going a little bit quicker than I normally would, otherwise we could be here for quite a while. So I've done the ones that are going that way. I'm just going to turn the tile, and I'm then adding pencil on the ones going in the opposite direction. And this particular pattern always reminds me of a basket weave style. I've seen it on garden furniture and other bits and pieces in the fabric world. And I have to say, it's also very good for children, if you want to do Zentangle with children, because this one it is easier, but it's also effective. But they have to concentrate on that original 4 lines one way and 4 lines another way. So we've almost finished this video. If you require any more information, please send me a comment or ask me whatever you would like to know. And I'm just going to finish off this tile. I've gone back to my 01 nib, and the final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add what's called a chop, which is like a signature or an initial. And then I'd like to appreciate the tile that I've done. So I would hold up my tile at a distance, like an arm's length distance, and I would have a look at it in that way, and then in that way, that way, that way, and then that way. And then regarding the reverse side, I might put the name of the certified Zentangle teacher that held the class. I might write the names of the tangles that I've drawn, and I might also put a date on. But that's pretty much it. I hope you've enjoyed today's session and that you will come back and watch the sessions for other official Zentangle kits. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.